In this video, I'm going to teach you how to cut a lob. I'm also going to be showing you some tips and tricks to get the perfect results every time. Let's get started. We're gonna start with 4 basic sections. This babe has some bangs, so we're gonna leave those out. But basically just your profile section and your radial section, and that's gonna give us our 4 quadrants. You'll notice that I am doing this haircut on dry hair. You can do this haircut on wet hair, but because of the length that we're doing it, I really do like to cut this haircut dry. This way you're gonna know exactly how it's gonna fall. Sometimes with lobs, because you are doing basically just a long bob, you're going to keep it below the jaw, usually right around that collarbone length. So this is a length that you really do want to make sure that you get it right. So you want to account for shrinkage. So to do that, I like to cut it dry. So I'm going to take a nice big section here, right across the nape, right at the occipital bone. And I'm going to also flat iron each section as I go. When you put the clips in, the clips do create some little divots in the hair, so to keep it nice and smooth, I like to just kind of give it a quick little once over with the flat iron. Now when I take my section, you're gonna notice I'm releasing it and grabbing it again. So I'm just releasing the tension on the hair. I wanna make sure that I'm not putting too much tension. Again, it's gonna pop. And when you're dealing with a perimeter length, you're gonna have growth patterns and things happening, and you do wanna make sure that this is falling nice and straight in its natural fall position. So just by releasing that tension, it's gonna give you a more accurate finish line. Again, we're cutting it dry, so we're really taking the guesswork out of the equation. I'm keeping my body centered in the back. And my first section is done. Always check your work. And section number 2. Depending on the density of the hair, you can take your sections fairly good size, as long as you can see your guide. If you cannot see your guide, which is that very first section that you cut, then you have too much hair. But as long as you can see your guide, you're good to go. So we'll clip that up out of the way, grab the flat iron, smooth that out a little bit. So I'm just gonna find my guide. I'm not holding on to it too tight. I'm up into the center, so I don't really have to worry about it popping on me at this point because I'm not dealing with any growth patterns there. But you'll notice I am standing directly behind and I'm creating a nice straight horizontal line across the back of the head. Be really careful to make sure that your finger angle is just that. It's horizontal right across the back, that the fingers don't try to curve in toward the front. So you'll notice if you've watched my plain old blunt haircut video that this is basically, so far, just a blunt cut. What makes it a little bit different, which we are going to change the name, it's just you're looking at the length and then some of the texturizing that's done. So the difference is, my babe, I do have her head tilted slightly forward. However, I don't have it tilted too far forward. If you have it tilted really far forward, you will end up with a more rounded line on the bottom. The straighter up that the head is, the more straight or blunt that edge is going to be. So you're gonna get almost like a broomstick kind of a bob if the head is straight up and down. I'm gonna go over it again with my flat iron so I can make sure that I like that edge, which I do. So it does have a slight bevel to it, but it's not really round. So I'm gonna go into the sides and I'm actually going to stand on the side of the head. So I'm not looking to make this longer in the front, I'm looking to have it the same length all the way around. So again, I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna release it, and then I'm gonna grab a hold of it again. This is also important to do anytime you're doing perimeter at the ear. So to allot for that ear protrusion, you want to give a little release of the hair. Okay, so same thing on the other side. There is a little trick that you can do. Basically, instead of coming from the back as your guide, you can use the front as your guide. So you can actually take these 2 front pieces and the piece that you already cut, you can match the other side to that piece. Then once that's cut, then you can go ahead and you can cut that side. So now you have a guide in the back and you also have a guide in the front. And this is going to ensure that you get it bang on. Okay, so the basic shape of our lob is done. The next part is where you customize. Now, many people will just leave this just as is. So one length, super easy to maintain. You're gonna get the maximum amount of shine with it this way too, because with minimal layers in the hair, you're gonna have a nice smooth surface. So you're gonna have lots of light bouncing off of it. So you might not wanna do too much. However, you may want to do a little bit of softness around the edges. But I like to take out diagonal sections following that diagonal shape just from that slight bevel that's in there. I'm not really taking off any length. I'm just going through and softening up those edges. This is really nice to do if you're finding that it is quite heavy at the bottom. So again, depending on density, you might want to do this. As well, if you find that the hair is falling a little bit too flat, it's also a good idea to do. So you can see it's pretty easy to see where you need to cut there. Again, just kind of pulling out on a 45. And once you cut that first center piece, the rest of them you just follow that guide right through and you can continue through on the sides. You'll notice there won't be quite as much when we get up to the front. You can see I'm not cutting anything from the perimeter. I'm only cutting that little bit of interior right around the bottom of the hair. So the lob is so versatile. It's a bob, and bobs, as we know, are very versatile. They're classic, they're timeless. So we can style this babe, we can style her smooth and straight, and she looks fantastic. We can also style her wavy, curly. So we'll show you a couple of different options here of how you can style her. If you're looking for it to be kind of just kinky, don't curl everything. So leave out your whole bottom section. I just do surface curls and I just twist the iron. I don't do a really strong curl. I just do, as you can see, I'm almost doing like about a half of a turn and just pulling it through. I am going to do everything in the same direction. So on one side, I will do them all back, and then when I hit the center, I'll switch directions so that both sides are coming away from the face. And I'm just taking these vertical sections and I'm not even touching the underneath. This is just surface. And you might like to do it underneath and that's fine, but I do find if it's too curly, it can look a little bit more dated. So to keep it a little bit more on trend, doing these surface waves is a really nice way to do it. Check out this video right here if you'd like to learn some tips and tricks on how to add some bangs to your lob. And in the meantime, have a great hair day.